There's a lot of buzz around the NHL trade conversations, and Noah Hanifin is one of the big names, obviously, with the Calgary Flames. They've already traded Lindholm. They've already traded Tanev. Now Hanifin's next up. I mean, if you go to this, like, this is crazy. So back in January 6th specifically, Noah Hanifin was rumored to be talking a contract extension with the Flames. Elliot Friedman reported on it on Hockey Night in Canada. Like, that's big, right? For Friedman to do that on Hockey Night in Canada, that's big. And now we've gotten to the point where Friedman on 32 Thoughts is saying, I believe the Lightning would like to do it. When that happens, it tells me there's a deal to be made contract-wise. There just hasn't been a deal to be made trade-wise. So Hanifin, I think it was Saravelli too, has been heavily rumored to be wanting to go to Tampa. Like, Tampa is his number one team. And I'm sure past that, like, Boston is his hometown team. Sure, maybe the other Florida team, the Panthers, maybe St. Louis Blues I've talked about. I mean, there's quite a few teams I think Hanifin would have some interest in going to, but apparently Tampa is his number one choice. And this was a huge proposal I saw online that it'd have to be like a first, a second, Isaac Howard, like that kind of structure, right? Like that Hanifin will get close to what Lindholm just got. So with that in consideration, it's probably a first, another draft pick, and then a young prospect, right? I don't know if it's that much, but you also have to keep in mind if Calgary is retaining 50%, like the Flames ownership and the Flames in general never want to retain on players. And they just were involved in that, and retaining 50% of Hanifin is not going to be an easy task in terms of trade negotiations. And as Friedman said, sure, maybe Hanifin will easy money be signed there in the offseason for Tampa. Doesn't mean that a trade's going to happen now before the playoffs. And Tampa also, they're not a lock for the playoffs as I make this video right now. Like, they should make the playoffs. They'll likely make the playoffs. But they're in a wildcard spot right now, and nothing's guaranteed. So going after Hanifin would be huge in terms of replacing Sergachev for the rest of the season with his injury. This might be a lot. I mean, if you go to Armchair, there's other proposals I was looking at where it could be more realistic, like something like this, where they get to keep Gauthier, they get to keep Isaac Howard, but it's still a first and a couple seconds. I could see Tampa doing something like this. First, maybe it's one first, 1 second, eliminate one of the seconds, and then a younger player or two for Hanifin. I could see something like that. If we want to pull up one more. No, it won't be that. They're not trading Cirelli. Maybe let's just look at this one. Again, I don't think they're trading Chernak, so probably not. Now, I was going to look at Tampa's side of things. I didn't really see too much, but Hanifin. So again, this is probably more realistic in terms of change that second to the first in 2026, and I could see Calgary pulling the trigger. First, a third, and a prospect for Hanifin. I think they do that. Again, it really depends if Tampa needs the Hanifin 50% retained, because they're obviously very tight on cap, unless they make another move to move a guy out. But that's kind of the conversation. And then NHL Network came out with a hypothetical trade for Hanifin to go to Boston, and this is actually exactly what I proposed. Essentially, I think maybe I had another piece involved here. I think maybe I had like AJ Greer going back to Boston or something like that. But a first-round pick, DeBrusk and Fabian Lysell for Hanifin, 50% retained, and Hanifin signs long-term in Boston. I think this is very realistic, to be honest. I think DeBrusk would also re-sign. I think DeBrusk would re-sign out west, whether it's Calgary or Edmonton. I could see that as well. So if Boston's offering up a first and Lysell, I think you've got to take this if you're Calgary. Like, I would take the shot with Lysell with the progression he's shown in the second half of the season here, and Bruins fans have been happy with it. If you can get a first and Lysell instead of, like, for example, a first and second from Tampa, I think you probably do this. Because on the other side of things as well, Calgary's probably seen like the history that they have with Tampa and Tampa winning the Cups. Boston hasn't really had success lately. Like, I think they'd probably rather do a favor to Boston than Tampa. I could just be speculating on that, but I think that's my sense at least. So give me your thoughts, guys. If you think Hanifin can go to Boston or Tampa, I would honestly think those are the ultimate favorites right now. Boston, Tampa for Hanifin. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to love that, but I think they're both good fits. I would say more specifically Boston, because if Grzelcyk's on his way out in the offseason, if you're Boston, you could look at a potential top four, and I've talked about this on other videos and streams, so this is not new if you're on this channel, but looking at Lindholm, McAvoy, Hanifin, Carlo, that is one of the best, if not the best top four in the league. So Let me know, guys. Boston, Tampa. Subscribe, like, comment, notification bell. I'll be live all day on NHL Trade Deadline. I'm promoting the crap out of it. So I hope to see you guys all day on Friday, March 8th on this YouTube channel through the stream. So talk soon. Have a great one. Peace.